Hello everyone, and welcome to the second part of my tips and tricks for Classic Season of Discovery. If you haven't already watched part 1, then make sure to check that out too. You can find it in the description below this video. Anyway, enjoy. Would you like to increase your backpack from 16 slots to 20 slots? All you need to do is to go to battle.net and enable an authenticator. Once you've enabled this, you can log back in, and now you'll have a 20 slot instead of 16 slots. Definitely useful, especially in the beginning when you're lacking backspace as you're questing and collecting a ton of different items. If you can't really decide your profession, then you should just go with skinning for raw gold, but also enchanting. Enchanting allows you to disenchant all the items you don't need, and these materials you can then sell on the auction house. Or another solution would be to send all your items to a bank with enchanting. Just remember, you shouldn't disenchant everything you find. Sometimes it's way better just to pick the most expensive reward and then vendor this for a higher amount of silver or maybe even gold. So whenever you can't get an upgrade from a quest, then you just choose the one that will vendor for the most. Whenever Season of Discovery goes live, there might be a lot of competition for different creatures, especially those where you just need to slay one specific enemy for a quest item. So whenever there's too much competition, I always just move on and do something else. You might have tried this before. You would like to use your Hearthstone, but there's a cooldown. So right now you're pretty much forced to either start running or using the flight masters to travel to the destination where your Hearthstone is set. But what you can also do is to enter a dungeon. And when you are inside the dungeon, you type /invite and then just something random. This will allow you to get into a group, and then you right click on your portrait and go to leave party. After a couple of seconds, you will get the message that you will be teleported out of the dungeon in a minute. So right now there's currently a 57 minutes cooldown on my Hearthstone, but this trick will allow me to use the Hearthstone even without casting. The only thing you gotta be aware of is that when you use a trick like this, it will also put a new cooldown on the Hearthstone, which is once again 1 hour. So whenever you're close to a dungeon portal, for example in Storm City or Okuma, then you can take advantage of this trick. All around Azeroth, there's a ton of different open world vendors that sells different green items that you can purchase. But whenever you get a new weapon, then you would also like to equip them, and before you can most likely do this, then you will also need to train the specific weapon skill. Weapon skills is trained in the different main cities. And right now on your screen, you can see the different locations for Alliance, but also Horde. Each weapon skill costs 10 silver, beside polearms, which is 1 gold. Sometimes I also like to play with reduced environment details, but also ground clouder. When you do something like this, then objects at far distance will not be displayed, unless it's an actual object. So in this case, what happens right here is that when I'm far away from the trees, then I won't be able to see them, but I can still see the chest. So if I played with max graphics, I would have no clue there was actually a chest right here. But because I use a trick like this, then I can also loot a lot more chests as I'm leveling up my mage, or well, any character. If you wish to change this yourself, then open up options, go to graphics, and look for environment detail and ground clouder, and reduce these all the way down to 1. And here's a quick comparison when I change it to max. Now it will be a lot more difficult to find different creatures in the open world, herbs and other things. At the launch day, it might be useful to create a level 1 character and run this straight to Stranglethorn Vale and then try to loot the STV arena chest. In here there can be green, blue items, consumables and a couple of gold. So I highly recommend to do this at a launch, because this kind of gold will matter a lot in the beginning, where you can pretty much purchase everything you need right away. As of right now, we still don't know everything that will happen in Classic Season of Discovery. Who knows, maybe in Phase 2 we might need fire protection potions. So what I'll do when I'm leveling is to make sure I stack up on different consumables that might be useful later on. And yeah, I do know there's a greater fire protection potion, or well, many different greater protection potions. But these will be learned way later on, probably either in Phase 3 or Phase 4. So in the beginning, the smaller protection potions might actually be useful to stack up on, just in case there's going to be a raid encounter that requires protection potions. I expect there to be a lot of competition in the beginning, so what you might be able to do is to get invited by a friend on another layer. Then you'll be transferred to the lair, and maybe you're lucky enough to have no dead enemies on that lair, and then you can continue questing and leveling up your character. Just remember to give it 10 to 20 seconds, because sometimes the transition will take some time. At the launch day, I will of course level my main character, and also create a bank character where I can send materials to. But what I will also do is to create different alt characters that I will then play whenever they have rested. Just remember to log in and probably do a couple of levels and get them to an innkeeper. Then whenever I have a level of rested experience, I will level my alt characters, and at some point I will then be able to try out many different characters at level 25. If you're watching this video before the release, then what I would highly recommend you to do is to also plan your upcoming talent tree, so you don't have to spend gold respeccing over and over. I find it extremely useful to prioritize spending time and planning this, because you're not going to get to 60 and unlock many different talents on your way. Now you should just focus on what will be the most optimal way to 25. If you would like to level up efficiently and get many characters to 25 in next to no time, then Rested Experience Leveling Add-on is an amazing guide. It will guide you through the best possible questing route, in the future also help you collect many of your different runes that you need, and a ton of other things. The benefit of this is that you can get many characters to max level in next to no time, and therefore also discover all the new class changes, and hopefully also find your new main. To the left you can see the current step you're at and what you will need to do in the upcoming task. On your map and minimap there will also be displayed different numbers. These indicates where you will need to head to next, but also where you do a certain quest. On top of this, there's also a quick targeting you can press on, and this will mark but also target the NPC you either need to kill or interact with. This add-on comes in two different variations, a free version and a paid version. The free version is so you can test it out and do a couple of levels, and the full version will work all the way up to max level, and whenever they implement a new phase, then you can continue to use this to level efficiently to the new max level. No matter what you choose, then you can test this add-on out yourself by using the link below the video. And if you plan to purchase the full version, then you can also use my discount code GUIDEMMO. If you ever get stuck, then you can always go to Contact Support, World of Warcraft, Stock Character Service, and choose the character you're looking for. So if you can't use your Hearthstone, or if you're stuck at a location where you can't really move, then you can use this service. This will take your character to a nearby graveyard in the zone you're currently in. I know I've mentioned this before, but remember to pick up skinning if you don't know the profession you're planning to go with. There's going to be hundreds of dead corpses all over the place, and you can easily make up a ton of gold on your way to level 25. So pick skinning if you don't know what to choose. Whenever you're in Westfall, always make sure to pay attention to any nearby dust devils. When you kill these, there's a chance you will get the magic dust, an item you can use to put a target to sleep for up to 30 seconds. Super useful in PvP, but also in PvE. Whenever I create a fresh character, then one of the first things I do is to go to controls and then enable auto loot, so I don't accidentally forget to loot a quest item or something else that is important. To be more aware of my own health and mana, but also my target, then I always make sure to right click on the target and player portrait and move frame. Then I drag it to the position I would like to place it at, and once I'm satisfied with the position, then I just need to right click and lock the frames. And now I'm pretty much also ready to start leveling, and my awareness will be a lot better so I don't accidentally pull when I'm low on health. As an Alliance player, you can go to this location in Dunmerrow and do a death skip. You know you're at the right position when you see this environment, but also this bear. Then you just need to climb the mountain and eventually do the death skip, where you will die and be able to resurrect in another zone. Next, you jump down here, and don't worry, you won't get stuck. As you can see right now, I'm in Wetlands, and then I usually just jump down here. Afterward, even further down, where I also end up dying. And now I can spawn in Wetlands. Just speak to the spirit healer, and from here you can pick up the nearby flight point, or even take the boat to the other continent, where you can start questing in the Night Elf starting zones. Whenever I need to kill a specific enemy, and there's maybe only one of these, then what I do is to make a macro, where I type in /target and the name of the creature. Of course you don't need to type in the whole name, What I usually do is just to type in the first 3 letters, and once I've found the enemy, then I right click and I add a marker. So if it's inside a cave or behind an object and I can't see it, then the marker will now display the location. So I hope you learned something new from these tips and tricks. If you haven't already watched part 1, then remember to also check that out. And on my channel you can find a ton of other guides for classic Season of Discovery. And in the future you can expect a lot more to be published about gold making, leveling, yeah, even gearing up your character.